When the gavel comes down, you know what that means? Court is in session. And I have to start this week's court session with a wonderful statement. Nikola Jokic is a joy to watch. He's a genius. I've been spending a lot of time watching the Joker as he continues his trend of the league's best 18 triple-doubles this year already. And watching him go from last week to action this week, I'm telling you now, his brilliance is so understated. You can talk about the 46-point triple-double against the Pelicans, or you could talk about the way that he turned the whole game against the Warriors. But one thing is very clear: clutch, vision, excellence. He has it all. However, there's more news that made me smile this week. And when Nuggets president of operations, Tim Connolly, shared this week that he thinks both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. will be cleared in time for the playoffs, BJ, it had me thinking immediately, this team is legit. And more importantly, Denver are ready to be title contenders.
Well, you know what? I just love to hear when guys are coming back, and that's great for Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And, you know, I'm a huge Jamal Murray fan. Why? Because he's one of the best. You know, I refer to him as the best player who has yet to be named an NBA All-Star. He is an elite player. He's an elite scorer. And I'm so excited. And, you know, it's been over a year now that he hasn't been playing. Now, what do I expect for him? I just hope that he can come back, feel his way around, play, contribute, and give me what he has at this particular point. I don't think this year is enough time for him to make them or push them over the top because of an injury. He's had a significant injury, guys. And that's the one thing, you know, and having, you know, multiple knee surgeries myself, it's always tough when you're coming back, especially as a guard, to come back and play, you know, after having an ACL injury. However, I do expect next year, with the summer of training, with the summer of being able to work on his game and not rehab, I think next year that is a realistic goal. So I'm just happy for him. Shout out to him getting back in the fold, because you know what? The Joker, you know, you guys know I joke around all the time and refer to him as the most charming player in the NBA. To have Jamal Murray back is an exciting time there in Denver, and we should be enjoying Jokic. You know, Mo and I were talking just last night. I think he may be the greatest Denver Nuggets player of all time. You know, Jokic right now is phenomenal. He's incredible. He's getting Murray back. He's getting Michael Porter Jr. back. So you know what? This is exciting. But however, I don't think this year, but next year, I'm really looking forward to this team if they can stay healthy as one of the elite teams. They're already elite, but I think one of the teams that we can say they have a realistic chance of winning the final game of the season. So this is a really, really exciting time in Denver Nuggets history.
That's a big statement. I would love to have heard that conversation. Immediately what came to my mind, Chauncey Billups, Melo. But it's okay. It's a good conversation to open up. And I definitely think that's one that we could definitely pick up another time, especially with the Joker. But Mo, looking at what the Denver Nuggets are doing this year without their stars, you think about Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. legitimately can say that they're the second and third best players on that team. And they are still steady in the West, which we know is stacked. If they do get them back, we're not expecting these players to be fully up to speed, but I do believe they can still be contenders this year.
Well, JD, a few things. First of all, we do have to respect the great Carmelo Anthony and everything he did as a member of the Denver Nuggets, because that's the OG. And for the culture, Denver, you know, the culture of basketball, Denver, whatever, Carmelo's right up there. But when we were talking about the MVP season that Jokic just had, and the MVP season that he could be having this year, because statistically, it's difficult to make a case for anyone else. We have to respect what that man is doing, and he's only 2 years into his prime. Secondly, JD, if you want to hear that conversation, I know where you can hear it. I ain't going to self-promote right here, but you know the vibes. And anyway, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets and the playoff situation, because I'm going to have to disagree with BJ Armstrong right here. The one thing about the NBA playoffs is unpredictability. We do not know what's going to happen. Right now, Chris Paul is out from the Phoenix Suns. Right now, Draymond Green is out from the Golden State Warriors. Both of these teams aren't the same without those guys there. Nikola Jokic has been so great that without his two co-stars, he's got the Denver Nuggets in 6th place, only 2 games behind 4th place in the Western Conference. They're 39-26 right now. And if there's one thing that this Denver Nuggets team can thrive under, That's adversity. This is a team that came back from 3-1 down in 2 consecutive playoff series. So we know
where did that happen, Mo? Mo, where did that happen, Mo? Where did that happen, Mo? Mo, where did that happen, Mo? Mo, where did that happen, Mo? Tell the people where that happened, though, Mo. Just don't talk your talk. Tell them where it happened.
Okay, BJ. That happened in the same place. That happened in the same place LeBron James won his last championship. Whether you want to agree with that or not,
where did it happen, Mo? Where did it happen, Mo?
Most recent championship. That's the same place the Los Angeles Lakers claim to have won their 17th NBA title.
Mo, where did it happen, Mo? Just tell me where it happened, Mo. I just want to hear you say it.
Second coming of Michael Jordan came, TJ Warren. That's when you know it happened right there.
But we're talking about the Denver Nuggets right now. We're talking about the Denver Nuggets right now.
He won't say it, JD. He won't say it, JD. JD, he won't say it. Where did it happen, Mo?
I'll tell you what I will say. I'll tell you what I will say. JD, they traded for Aaron Gordon from your Orlando Magic, and when he came into the team, they won 7 straight games. This is why I was so devastated about Jamal Murray's injury. That 5-man lineup that they had, that starting unit, outscored opponents by 17 points per 100 possessions. When those 5 guys are on the floor together, I'm talking Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Will Barton. That's a problem. Now, I know they're not going to be the same as they were before the injury. It's going to take time to get back, especially Jamal Murray coming off an ACL. But you look at this Western Conference, I'm not worried about the Warriors. Draymond Green isn't healthy for the playoffs. If Chris Paul is out for any series for the Phoenix Suns, that's a real problem, especially in late game situations. Do you know who's great in late game situations? The reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, because we saw just the other night, sending that game to overtime against the Pelicans when he had the historic stat line. He's just had back-to-back 30-point triple-doubles. I think we need to respect that man. And it's not a question of Jamal Murray needing to be at a level he is. They're already competitive right now without him in the team at all. Whatever he can contribute for the playoffs, it's just an added bonus. So I'm intrigued to see how the Western Conference playoffs shake out. I still think Phoenix are going to go through. I still have no doubt in my mind that if they're healthy, Phoenix Suns will be in the NBA Finals. But having said that, you never know what can happen. You never know if there's going to be an upset. You never know if there's going to be an injury. And I know for one that I will not count out the reigning MVP and MVP contender this season, Nikola Jokic.
JD, where did all this happen? I just want to know, where did all of these championships take place? I want to know. He won't say it. JD. He won't say it. And I know the vibes. JD, I know the vibes.
I know the vibes.
It happened in the same place the Lakers claim to have won their 17th championship. That's all you need to know.
Oh, now they claim. JD. Okay. All right. You know.
All right,
Charles Barkley won't say the Lakers, and our guy won't say where the championship took place. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'm not responding, JD, until he says it. I'm not responding until he says it.
Are we just going to agree to disagree, or are we going to move on? Is that what we're going to do?
Hey, listen. You can respond any way you want. Those playoff runs happened in the same place the Lakers claim to have won their 17th championship. Now, BJ Armstrong, if you want to sit here on national television and tell the fans of the Los Angeles Lakers that their championship with LeBron James is invalid, you be my guest. You go ahead. We can talk about the NBA bubble. If you want to talk about the NBA bubble, go ahead, my brother. Go and tell the Lakers they never really won a championship. That's all you. I ain't say it.
Oh, the history of this game. How can you not love 75 years of history going back and forth? You gotta love this game. But right now, I think it's right to turn around and say that maybe it's a little bit too soon for the Denver Nuggets. And I have to understand where BJ's coming from. I think Mo made some great points. But maybe it is just a touch too soon because we have to give them a chance to recover after such a serious injury. So respect to both of those guys getting back in the game. But Mo made some great points. I'm not going to lie to you. Watching Denver, they're going to be a problem in the West, especially with those components coming back. But let's switch gears and move on to the next case right now because the Celtics have emerged as legit contenders. Yes, I said it. The Boston Celtics have arrived. Yeah, after an ugly start to the season, which saw growing pains, a shooting slump, an underwhelming play. There is no two ways about it. Their New Year's resolution was very simple. Lock down defense, yeah? And whatever they would turn around and said to each other at the turn of the year, it's working. Because right now, that mantra is coming true. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. So I'm saying this with chest. After I watched their performance against the Nets and the Grizzlies last week, the Boston Celtics are coming out of the Eastern Conference. Mo Mooncey, what are you saying, my guy?
Hey. You guys don't want me to go off. I'm gonna tell you this. I need to chill. I need to have a sip of my drink, JD. Do you know what I'm sipping on? I'm sipping on some green tea because all I'm seeing is green right about now in the Boston Garden. Them boys are balling. Let me have a... Listen. The Boston I don't even want to jinx it. I'm just going to tell you some facts, and you can do with them what you want. The Boston Celtics have the best defense in the NBA. Fact. The Boston Celtics are 18-2 this year when Marcus Smart plays in the lineup. The Boston Celtics just went into a playoff atmosphere against Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in the Brooklyn Nets, and they showed them who the real contenders are. Jason Tatum went bucket for bucket with Kevin Durant, and one of these men walked away with a 50-piece. The other walked away shaking his head in dismay at what happened to his team, okay? The Boston Celtics had Ja Morant come into town fresh off 2 40-point games back-to-back, and Coach Ime Udoka came up with a defensive scheme to slow that man down and secure the win against one of the hottest teams in the entire NBA. Facts, okay? I'm just speaking facts. Defense wins championship. Facts, that's all I'm going to do today. I'm just speaking facts. No emotion, no opinions, just facts.
No emotion, you say. No emotion.
Just facts.
Say it like it is, Double M Mo Mooncey. But he does make some great points, BJ. Chicago, losing streak at this moment in time. Miami's health, inconsistent all season. Philadelphia's depth is a question mark. Brooklyn themselves are a question mark. Boston are making a legit case. Coming down the far side, blind side to everybody else, the Boston Celtics are showing that they are the team to come out of the Eastern Conference. BJ Armstrong, do you agree, though?
Let me grab this mic, Mo. Let me grab this mic, JD. Okay, JD.
Some facts.
JD. Facts. I really don't want to burst your bubble.
What's your weird Lakers
JD. Hey, JD, I'm coming with bars right now. I don't want to burst your bubble. But the Boston Celtics will not be coming out of the Eastern Conference this year. Now,
There'll be some facts.
Okay.
I'm hearing opinions. I want to hear facts.
Okay.
I'm
giving you the facts. I love what the Boston Celtics are doing. I have no doubt. They are currently now the number one team in the Eastern Conference. Or no, in the entire NBA, but in their defense, right? Without question. But right now, they don't have the depth to win an NBA championship because they're going to depend on their starters to play 40-plus minutes in the playoffs. I can't argue with anything Mo said because you know what? I really like what they're doing, all jokes aside. However, their depth is going to be the one problem that I see as they begin to advance in the playoffs. Hopefully, they will get to the second, third, finals or what have you. But I think once they can improve their depth with the way they're playing, I think this team, especially now over the last 2 months, because 2 months ago, we were talking about possibly having to get rid of or trade maybe Jaylen Brown or whatever. They couldn't get along. But give these guys credit. They've hung in there. The leadership of Marcus Smart needs to be highlighted here because he's really done an exceptional job of facilitating, playing defense. And believe it or not, this is a defensive-oriented team right now. Jason Tatum is playing the game at an elite level. Jaylen Brown is settled into whatever 1A. And you know what? And I got to give Mo credit here because I like to give him, a hard time about the Time Lord. The Time Lord is continuing to evolve as a player, especially on the defensive end. Now, it's hard for me to say that because I want to give Mo a hard time, but I got to tell it like it is. This team right now is a team that's playing well. I wouldn't want to face them right now because they don't only have one guy that can get you 30 points in a playoff game. They have two guys. I think this team is going to be difficult to play. I think they have now moved into the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. And I think if they continue to play, especially on the defensive end, and what they're doing, I think this team maybe in the next 2 or 3 years will have a chance. I don't think they can do it this year, but I like what I see, and I got to give them credit. The Boston Celtics right now is one of the top 4 teams the way they're playing in the Eastern Conference.
I just got to hit you with a couple more facts and then I'll be done. Just addressing the concerns about the depth of this team. We know that the starting lineup is elite, okay? 2 all-star level scorers, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. We've got Al Horford, whose defensive versatility has been elite, and he's a leader, a veteran, experienced player. The Time Lord, he's second in the league in blocks this season. He's absolutely amazing at contesting shots. Teams are afraid to go into the paint when they see him there. His second efforts, offensive rebound is all there. And of course, Marcus Smart, who's making fantastic decisions at the point guard spot. But let's talk about the depth. At the trade deadline, they made some fantastic moves. They went out and reacquired Daniel Tice, who was on the Celtics when they made their runs to the conference finals. He's got that experience. He's a solid backup big. They've got Grant Williams, the only player in the entire NBA shooting 50% from the field, 50% from three-point line, and 90% from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. The only player in the entire NBA. They've got Derek White, one of the best defensive perimeter guys in the entire NBA when it comes to taking charges, when it comes to getting stops, when it comes to altering shots. He's right up there with the best of them. And you guys saw on Sunday night, Peyton Pritchard coming up with steals down in the fourth quarter, making Kyrie Irving himself turn the ball over, finding Tatum with some assists. There's 4 guys coming off the bench. Now, by my calculations, that's a 9-man rotation you can have right there. You can even shorten that to 8 guys if you're not a fan of Peyton Pritchard. I'm seeing depth. I don't know what everyone else is watching. I'm seeing a team playing fantastic basketball, 1.5 games out of second place in the Eastern Conference, peaking at the right time, defense-orientated, with 2 guys that you can give the ball to any team, say, get me a bucket, and they're going to deliver.
JD, can I say one thing?
Of course.
Where was all this energy 2 months ago? I didn't hear this.
Of course you did. They weren't this good 2 months ago.
I
can only call
where I didn't hear this.
What do you want me to do? Wait for them to lose games and say we can win the Eastern Conference?
I didn't hear. What do you want me to do? I didn't hear this.
You're hearing it now. Loud and clear. You're hearing nothing but facts. You're hearing nothing but facts. Okay. That's all I got. When they're bad, I say they're bad. I'm not biased. When they were bad to start the year, I said they were awful. I said they weren't moving the basketball. They weren't making the right plays. And guess what? They recognized that in themselves, and they made those adjustments. Jason Tatum's playmaking has stepped up another level. Marcus Smart's decision-making stepped up another level. Jaylen Brown's decision-making has stepped up to another level. Not every team can start the season perfect, but it's about peaking at the right time. You don't want to start the season hot and fall off when it gets to the end. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And the Boston Celtics, down this final straight, they're picking up the pace, and they're gaining momentum on those leaders of the pack.
Yo, they've come around that bend, BJ, on that final 100, and they looking good right now. 25 assists on 40 buckets against the Nets. They looking like a team right now.
I just hope they don't play my Pistons. I hope they just don't play my Pistons. Just don't play my Pistons.
Don't worry, BJ. Don't worry, BJ. They won't be in the playoffs. They're going to be in the draft lottery. Don't worry about the Pistons. I'm not worried. Marvin Bagley Jr., he's at home. Don't worry. Sorry, Cade. I got love for you. You're at home.
Let's bring us closer to this. Let's bring this. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Okay, this week. All I would say is the Boston Celtics schedule is looking fairly light over the next 2 weeks, but they are sometimes the more dangerous games. 5 times over the next 11 days they'll be playing. So I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be time for the Boston Celtics to finally prove themselves. But I'm going to stick with the original thought process going into this, because the way that they're looking right now, like I said, come around that bend, that final 100 meters is everything. And the Boston Celtics are looking red hot for the playoffs, and of course, coming out of the East right now.